Our ET Vault Unlocked celebrates Tom Hanks, the nicest guy in Hollywood.
Hello.
Hey, how are you?
Thank you, Tom.
People really, 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 really like you, Tom Hanks.
Really like
Mr. Tom Hanks.
This is all kind of a fluke in a lot of ways that have turned into something that I'm really proud of and worked real hard to attain and sustain.
I still feel as though I can't believe they're giving me this job.
Humble, genuine, and somehow still relatable, E.T.'s been with Tom for 5 decades of his legendary career.
I was a kid growing up. They had said, someday you're going to be on E.T. I was like, well, maybe once. Da-da-ba-da-doo-doo, da-da-dee-da-doo, ba-da-da-da-da-da, ba-da-da-da-da, ba-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
Despite 2 consecutive Oscars, plus 4 nods, 5 Golden Globes, 7 Emmys, and an estimated net worth of $400 million.
I'm an average Joe.
But Tom's filmography is anything but average. He's raked in over $10 billion at the global box office, and he's behind some of the most iconic movie lines of our time.
Life was like a box of chocolates.
There's no crying in baseball! Wilson! Wilson!
You do have to get used to people telling you that you're the greatest thing since sliced cheese, because you know that you're still only sliced cheese, you know? So it's, you can't believe what anybody says. You always have to come back to that same truth, am I doing the right thing?
Before he made it big in showbiz, Tom was just a kid growing up in the Bay Area of California, in Concord, just outside Oakland.
Dad was in the restaurant business?
Yeah. I think it was the perfect childhood to live in if you're going to be an actor. Very nomadic. Moved around a lot, always in a lot of new schools all the time. I thought that was wonderful. You learn how to talk fast and I guess be kind of funny and make friends.
How old were you when your folks broke up?
5. I was 5. I grew up with my dad, and I saw my mom all the time. There was one time when my brother and my father and I shared the same bedroom. But Dad had the top bunk, and my brother had the bottom bunk, and I had my own bed. And we've never thought that we came from a particularly broken home. We thought we came from a very exciting home, as a matter of fact. My dad always gave us as much credibility and leeway as we wanted, because we always found our own way. If we were happy, we weren't getting into any trouble, and we enjoyed what we were doing, he thought we were doing great.
When Tom was a teen, he did what most teens do. He worked summer jobs while he finished school.
I was a vendor at Oakland A's game.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was 14 years old. First of all, I got robbed twice.
Oh,
so
great.
The first job that I actually really loved was I was a bellman. I got to wear a suit and I got to meet a lot of famous people. Sidney Poitier, I drove to the airport. I carried Cher's bags when she was married to Greg Allman. Bill Lean On Me Withers, Billie Jean King. I actually delivered bags to Chrissy Everett's room when she was in the shower. She had to come out of the shower to open the door.
And did she have on a towel?
She had on a towel.
After studying theater in college, he landed his first acting job, which whisked him all the way from California to Cleveland.
Cleveland? Why Cleveland?
They asked me to go to Cleveland. I didn't set out and say, geez, where should I go? Where should I go to really? I know, Chicago, New York, Los Angeles, Paris, France. Oh, in London, Tokyo, Cleveland. That's where I was invited to work at the Great Lakes Theater Festival. First time I got union scale to be an actor, that was an amazing thing. $216. I can live on this for a couple of weeks. Of course, I was on unemployment, so I'd like to thank the taxpayers of the United States of America for making it possible.
We don't mind.
I stretched out an extra foot to make sure I trip you.
Why'd you do that?
That seemed the best way to meet you. My name's Elliot.
After 3 years, Tom left the theater to make his big screen debut in the low-budget slasher film He Knows You're Alone. Then, in 1980, this cross-dressing sitcom made him a star on network TV.
I knew this wasn't going to work.
Have you enjoyed making what is now really over 30 episodes of Bosom Buddies? Have you enjoyed it?
Yes,
Why not?
Yes, 2 magic years of all of our lives. I think there is a genuine kind of innocence and earnestness to the show that And I think we all really cared about sort of what we were doing there.
Though it only lasted 2 seasons, Bosom Buddies led to a guest appearance on Happy Days in 1982. That's where Tom met the man who'd cast him in the surprise hit Splash, future Oscar winner Ron Howard.
I mean, this was a movie about a mermaid being made by Disney that was directed by Opie Cunningham. I mean, in all seriousness, people were not all that thrilled. And instead it comes out and it enters the national consciousness.
Oh. You have any idea how I got here?
There was a meeting with Ron in which Ron says, you know, if you're going to compete for the jokes in this thing, this movie is going to stink and it's going to be your fault.
Ron Howard said that
Don't
too?
do that. He said this to me after the first reading of the script. And I had a huge amount of bad habits that I picked up. So right away I realized that, okay, there's a lot of discipline.
It could have been very easily a fluke. Splash gave me the opportunity to do roles that are just as good, maybe even a little bit better.
Between 1984 and 1987, Tom was busier than ever, starring in 7 more feature films with comedy kings like Jackie Gleason, John Candy, and Dan Aykroyd.
I've known I've been a funny guy for a long time. There's always an element of danger in making comedies that I kind of like.
Ron Howard has been quoted as saying things like, oh, gee, he's going to be the next Jack Lemmon. This is the next Jimmy Stewart.
Oh, yeah, that's high praise. If people want to compare me to Jack Lemmon or Jimmy Stewart, I think they're kind of nuts, but I view that as only the highest of possible praise.
The praise for Tom reached new heights in 1988 with Big. And can you believe the role almost went to this guy? Yep, Robert De Niro was in but dropped out due to a scheduling conflict.
Honey?
The film established Tom as a box office favorite and earned him his first Oscar nomination.
It was a surprise and a real thrill. It was an honor. We were both on the couch in the morning there, kind of blubbering before we had to go to work.
You were so convincing as this 12-year-old kid.
Well, I think part of it is because my own junior high school experience was probably the worst 3 years of anyone's life. You know, it's the age where the hormones go absolutely stark raving mad and you have no control over any of you just barely have control over bodily functions, much less everything else.
Do you ever have those moments when you kind of like look in the mirror and go, why me?
You do begin to wonder, why me? Do I really deserve all this stuff? And why isn't any one of my friends who have 5 times much more talent than I do? But you get kind of used to that, and quite frankly, I've been working hard enough now and long enough to feel as though that, well, now I know why me, because I work so damn hard, that's why.
Now that you are certainly a recognizable face, any funny or touching experiences with fans?
I kind of like those freelance photographers that hang around. I'm surprised they want my picture. I can't believe they even know my name, for crying out loud. I've made that decision a long time ago to still, you know, go do my own grocery shopping and it's not hide behind funny hats and sunglasses or anything like that. Although I do have quite a collection of funny hats.
As the 80s came to a close, Tom's climb to the A-list continued, thanks in part to Meg Ryan. The two played love interests in 3 different films. The first, Joe versus the Volcano. E.T. was behind the scenes.
Roll, please. Coming, Mark. And action.
Take me to the volcano!
Joe?
Meg Ryan, she raised the stakes of this thing. The very first day, like, she kicked my butt into this whole kind of other gear, just, you know, from one actor to another.
The door to the universe is you.
Me?
Meg reportedly beat out Julia Roberts, who auditioned for the role just 1 week before she got a callback for Pretty Woman. The cult classic opened to mixed reviews, but Tom and Meg would team up a second time in Sleepless in Seattle, about a widowed man who finds love through the radio.
Who hasn't seen somebody and kind of gone boing at the very sight? There's no such thing as a perfect.
I like the whole idea of the parallel lives, and you know, these people are meant for each other, but will they get together, won't they get together? And I think that that's sort of a universal feeling of hope that people have.
There is that person that is out there that is destined for you, and you probably crossed paths at some point in your lives.
But not each other. They were both married, Meg to Dennis Quaid and Tom to Rita Wilson during their lucrative run. Sleepless in Seattle and You've Got Mail are still among the highest earning rom-coms of all time, ranking in a collective box office haul over $500 million.
Welcome.
Meg and I are not real close pals. We see each other every now and again. It's like We don't hang out for coffee. We're not like Lucy and Ethel, you know, who are always, hey kid, what are you doing? When we pick up, we just pick up right where we left off, and it is an effortless kind of thing.
While Tom's proven he can do rom-coms, he is also a master of on-screen transformations.
Ball players! I haven't got ball players, I've got girls!
You need to be sort of a lout in this.
A lout, an oaf, a boor, a dissipated, drunken sot. I usually have to come in and be, you know, unleash this kind of charm monster that I carry along in a cage wherever I go, and be likable and witty. Instead, I got to be everything that they never ever let me do.
Mark.
E.T. was on the A League of Their Own set with Tom in Evansville, Indiana back in 1991. He packed on about 30 pounds to play boozy baseball manager Jimmy Dugan.
I ate a lot of barbecued pork ribs, and we made our trips to the Dairy Queen.
What was the toughest thing about this job for you, shooting the whole movie?
Taking the weight off when it was all over. That was hard. I got fat.
But Tom managed to shed the weight, plus 26 extra pounds for his dramatic turn in 1993's Philadelphia.
Are you a good lawyer, Andrew? I'm an excellent lawyer.
They put me on a very, very specific diet, regimen, and exercise program for 4 or 5 months. Every day they've brought me my food. And if I hadn't been, say, quite so heavy from the League of Their Own era, I might not have had to work so hard, but that's what duty called for. I had no hair. They'd shaved my head for the wigs and all the different looks that we'd had to have.
His transformation into Andrew Beckett, a gay lawyer diagnosed with AIDS, was more than skin deep.
And the Oscar goes to Tom Hanks in Philadelphia.
I know that I'm standing there honestly because so many gay men have died of AIDS since 1976. All we're doing is throwing light on the injustices that are going on right now. Good God, we need more of that in the movies.
1 year later, Tom became the second actor in history to win back-to-back, picking up the lead actor Oscar for Forrest Gump.
That's all I have to say about that.
Houston, we have a problem.
Tom's also taken on many real-life roles, channeling Jim Lovell in Apollo 13, Captain Sully Sullenberger, even Mr. Rogers.
Won't you be my neighbor?
But one of the most extreme roles was Castaway. He had to cut weight again, more than 50 pounds, and the pressure was intense.
It's tough to do drive-through with the kids, though, you know, because the car is filled with, you know, smell of cheeseburgers and French fries.
That's right. No Krispy Kremes.
Ain't an easy thing to get through.